Welcome everyone to yet another webinar from Projectum. Today we're going to take another look at Microsoft Teams. We've done a previous webinar 2 years ago. You can still find that in Microsoft, not Microsoft's YouTube, in YouTube. Today we're going to be mastering Microsoft Teams. And we're going to have 5 tips to boost your productivity. We're not going to take the easy route because I believe that almost everyone that needs to work with Microsoft Teams already does. But we're going to take 5 tips to boost your productivity. Let's have a look at the agenda. Of course, some introductions is needed. Who am I? Who's Projectum? And what can you expect from us as a company? Then we're going to focus on 4 key items. We're going to look at cards, loop, timesheets, always a lovely topic, and we're going to give you meeting 2.0 tips. And then we're going to wrap up. I'll have I have a few wrap up links that you can attend to. And of course, after this session, we'll also share the presentation with you, and it will be available on YouTube later. During the course, during the webinar, you'll have ample time to ask questions. I will take them at the end of the session, though. So who am I? My name is Erik van Hurck. I live in the Netherlands and I'm one of the consultants at Projectum. I'm a senior consultant, and apart from my day-to-day work, I also have a blog and a YouTube channel in which I help the community at large working with the Microsoft tools, and my key focus is helping the project management office succeed. And the key aspect of Projectum is we are a company that delivers turnkey products, and we help out organizations with consultancy services to improve your project and portfolio management capabilities. We also have a focus on resource management, and apart from resource management is of course timesheets. Now, as Projectum, we used to be a full-on consultancy firm, but we've moved away also adopting a product organization. So we deliver products, and one of the products that we deliver is called Time for Teams. And other products are resource management. Resource management is Team Planner, and we have a Power PPM, which is our project and portfolio management solution. Today, at our 3rd tip, we'll see Time for Teams in action, and we'll see how timesheets can become fun again, or at least as funny as they can get. But first, tip number 1, we're going to discover the power of cards. And cards are an element within Microsoft applications that you can use to not only chat with people, but you can also chat with systems now. And this is not in line with an AI solution. We're not going to talk about ChatGPT today or anything AI minded, but cards gives you an option to send out information to a system to further process that. It's easy to create them, and you have direct access through the Power Platform. So Power Platform, once again, is Power Automate, Power Apps, virtual agents, anything like that. In the showcase that I'm going to show you now, I'm going to deliver an idea box solution. So what I'm going to do is I have a chat open in Microsoft Teams, and I'm going to add a chat bubble that someone delivers. I think that's a good idea. I want to have that in my Microsoft Planner environment. So the components that we're going to see is Power Automate, Adaptive Cards, Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Planner. And on the right side, you'll see that there is a section that is the Power Automate, the things that will happen with our adaptive card. To set this up, what I do is I go into any task or any chat bubble that we have in Microsoft Teams. I open the ellipsis and I go to more actions and I'll create a new action. A new pop-up window will give me the option to create a new Power Automate action based on that little trigger there. Or I can take a template, which I'd done. I created a planner task from a message Power Automate flow, but that flow is a little bit altered for our purposes. Of course, everything within this application needs to be security bound, and that's done here through the connections. So I have my own connection and I give the name to the Power Automate flow, and let's have that real demo right now. So I'm going to switch my screen and I'm going to go to just Microsoft Teams, and I'm using the dark mode because, yeah, I'm a consultant, right? So on my team planner board test, I can select any of these cards, or yeah, chat cards. And I go to the ellipsis here, and I see my demonstration of cards right here. So in order to get this through to my planner board, which I have open on one of the other screens. So this is my planner board, and I have a to-do bucket. I have an analyzing bucket and an approve bucket. And I have some cards in here already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on a demonstration of cards. It gives me the option to give a short description. During, yeah. Oops, always nice. This was a great idea, and I want to set a due date to Friday the 30th. And I'll assign myself, but I think I'll also use Pete's time because he is an expert on these kinds of matters. I'm going to submit, but also note that the message details will be in the notes of that planner task. I'll click submit. And in a few seconds, you'll see a new message. Planner task created. Planner task successfully created. There's a little bit more information there. I can either view task, but I can also just close this window and navigate to my window here. I don't see it yet, but if I move to the grid and I go back to my board, I see a new task popping up in the to-do list. During the demo, this was a great idea. Didn't need to do anything else, didn't need to leave Microsoft Teams. I added something, and with the power of cards and Power Automate, I'm able to create a new Microsoft Planner task. If I open this up, I can see the Teams subject, which was empty. I can see the message. This is a demonstration of cards in the webinar from today. I sent that card, and here's a direct link for people to follow along with. Now, this is just a Microsoft Planner card. I can do anything with it that I would expect to have in Planner. I can analyze that. I can even add that to the blue team if I would like to, and I can start a checklist. Straight to sea level. So this is something that we can do with cards. Now, what does that look like in the back end? Because we need to see what's happening, of course. I'll navigate to Power Automate. And in the Power Automate and view, I'll see two flows that are aligned with Microsoft Teams. One is the demonstration of cards. If I click on that and I click on edit, I'll be able to loop you through what we're seeing here. So the first action is where that card comes up. From a selected message is the activity that we've done when we clicked on those ellipses and we clicked on that button. That tells the flow that you're aligned with that specific item. And here you can edit the adaptive card. So the adaptive card is what we're seeing when we're working with that button. I can have action sets, I can have even an image, I have a rich text button here, and that short description here, if I click on that and I click on edit, I can open up the element properties and I'll see task title. Now remember that I was saying that I altered it a little bit. I changed it to being a short description rather than the title. And I added the placeholder, enter a short description, and I added a maximum length of text. Clicking Save Card will give you the newest version of this adaptive card. Now there's also extensive documentation on how to create these cards. Suffice to say, you have a couple of things that you can add here that will follow along into the Power Automate flow. For instance, I could add a compose and I could see what is inside that selected message card. So the card outputs as a whole, you could do something with that. You can look at the body, you can look at the user, message payload, and down below we'll have that task title. So everything that you entered there, you will be able to see here as well. Further down below, I can see that there's a condition, and in that condition, I'm checking if there is an assignee in the solution. If I hadn't selected any assignee, I wouldn't want to have the flow break, so I needed to alter some items here. Further on down below, I create a task. It's a task in TeamNL for Projectum. The planner ID is the idea box, and the bucket where it's going to go to is a to-do. Further down below, I can alter additional things. For that to be possible, I need to change the content of the task once it's created. Then we can start doing the description and a couple of other things as well. And the response to the task is yet another adaptive card. This time it's more in line with a JSON query, and in a adaptivecars.io designer, which is a website which you can access through the link that I'll have at the end of the presentation, you'll be able to create things like this yourself and adding values that align to the Microsoft Teams task that is in there. So this is a really nice way of working with Microsoft Teams and filling a backlog at the same time without leaving Microsoft Teams. So you can have a good conversation in Microsoft Teams. You see something interesting, you just flag it, and it automatically populates into Planner. And if you're familiar with Microsoft, with Power Automate, you know that you can extend this to send out emails, approval flows, and even more. So this is my first tip. Make use of the adaptive cards. Tip number 2 is removing duplication drama. And we're going to do that with Loop. Loop has components, and you'll see that in just a moment. There's Loop components, and they are available from within the Microsoft ecosystem. It is a component that can be consumed by multiple different applications at the same time. And what I mean with that at the same time is a loop component is going to be populated and updated across the board. You'll also have the option to view all your loop components from a workspace, and we're going to see that as well. And basically, loop is everything, everywhere, and all at once. And if you're familiar with the movie, you know the googly eyes, of course. So let's see what loop can do for us. And we'll have a demonstration for that right now. And so here I am in a loop environment. Loop.microsoft.com. It is a preview feature, which means that loop is under development and not yet available in every application that we want to have it. But we can see that there are a couple of environments where we can already utilize them. So here I have a webinar example workspace. I can build multiple items, loop components, and I can add them inside the loop workspace. I can even build new pages here. And as you can see, there's a open in browser option here. There is a show who has access, in which I can see that there are no other people that have access. But for this section here, I can see that Matilda also, Nicolina also has access to this setup because I added her as a @mention. Now the component here is of course nice. I can start adding additional things here. And I could copy that, which will create a URL that I can security trim. I can tell that only people within Projectum are going to be able to edit this link, but I can also change that to people with existing access or specific people within the organization. I copy the link, and what I do now is I go to a Microsoft Outlook mail. So this is just an email that I'm going to send out or I'm not going to send out. And in there, I paste that URL. And right from here, I can see that the loop component is added. You see that that loop component is here. I can directly access that workspace, but I can also say that, well, the progress is now completed on the first item, the cards that we're going to do. In progress, so update is in progress. And of course, we also have tip 3, timesheets. We're not started with that yet. And we have tip 4, 4.2, 4.0. And if you've already seen it, very good, because the update is immediate, which means that I can directly see what other people are doing within that loop component. I can even ask Nicolina to add another comment here. And I can see that other people are present in this loop component as well. So we'll see if, and here we go. We see NW, so that is Nicolina. That is not me. I have my hands up. And I can use this within loop, and I can see that I can type here. And within loop components, anywhere within the system, I can add a dash, and I can add different components. I can add another table, I can add a checklist, bulleted list, numbered list, divider, and more components are being worked on. This can also be done in Microsoft Teams. So I'll remove this. It removes the connection that I had, of course, because it doesn't exist anymore. I'll just correct her spelling mistake here, or isn't it a spelling mistake? No, of course I can. Just like that. So collaboration is done much simpler. And we can grab this component and we can even add this to OneNote. And in the future also Outlook or Microsoft Word, Excel, any component that would benefit from these loop components can be seen in the near future. So what I would like to do is I would like to test something live where I have a connection here and I see a loop component item here. So within this, this presentation, I'll just copy that loop component again. And even inside a inside a presentation or webinar, I can add a loop component and it will show up. And because only people from within Projectum are able to see it and edit it, you will probably not be able to see it yourselves, but that component is in here and I can start the progress on our third topic and I can close the loop component. And as I can see, here is that updated scenario again. Looking at tip number 3, we're going to take a look at timesheets. And it's going to be a little bit more fun than we normally see with timesheets. Time for Teams is simple, it's intuitive, it's a modern application, and it captures actual work from across different applications if you have that in your organization. So be that a DevOps solution, be that a project for the web, be that a planner, be that a Power PPM solution, you can gather information inside Time for Teams and you can report your hours on it. It can either be a standalone application or it can be integrated with all the other applications that you can think of. And it's accessible directly through your browser or from within Microsoft Teams. So let's have a look at Teams and Time for Teams inside. So from a Microsoft Teams environment, I have a little clock in here. And once I click on that, I'll see my timesheets. Now, because this is a live environment, I won't want to focus too much on the activities I do for my customers. But here is another demonstration where I'm inside another application. This is our Power PPM solution, which is our project and portfolio management solution. And in here, I also have my timesheet. Now this one is linked up to a demonstration environment, so I feel more safe showing you this than a live environment. As you've seen, pretty fast, I'm still within Power PPM. I can still go into my initiatives, my programs, my portfolios, go into dashboards and all the like. But I can also update my timesheets. So I can say that, well, team leading, some 2 hours. I can add a comment here. And I can see that there's multiple sources. So time, which is a native actual timesheet. Then we have team planner. Then we have project for the web. And we can even have Power PPM populate these activities as well. I don't need to click on save or publish or anything like that. This is a live connection. So that addition that I did just now, if I click on Time for Teams, this tab here, and I click on refresh, I'll see that additional 2 hours here as well. So be it in an application, such as in the Time for Teams iframe, or a separate application all by itself, I'll be up to date anyway, just like in the Loop scenario. It's not Loop, it's another application. It's built on Azure, so it's very robust and security safe. So this is Microsoft Teams and Timesheets within Microsoft Teams. And yeah, it's an application that we've built to ease your burden when it comes to timesheets. Now for our next demonstration, I wanted to demonstrate PowerPoint live. Sadly, I'm not able to do that because we're in a kind of meeting that doesn't allow for that functionality yet. I wasn't aware of that before we did that, but using PowerPoint Live is something that you can start when starting a new presentation. I'll end this slide deck and I'll show you how to do that. So here's my slide deck, and on the top right, it says Present in Teams. This Present in Teams option gives you more flexibility. It lets you translate any of the slides to a number of different languages. It has a better video component in it that allows you to easily share a video with high quality and lets individual users skip to certain points in the video without disrupting you as a presenter. If you choose to do so, you also have the option to let people skip through the slide deck. And I had a lovely next slide to get you back on track. Sadly, I'm not able to show you that today, but get back in line, please. Find my slide by clicking on the Sync to Presenter button. This is a part of the interface that you'll see as a visitor of the slide deck. And if you skip to one of the 15 slides that I have in this slideshow, you'll be able to click Sync to Presenter and you'll get back to the slide that I have available here. So with PowerPoint Live, you'll have better cross-company access. If you share a PowerPoint Live presentation, it will come across better through the presentation mode that you have access to. It has a higher quality of content. And if you're inside, you can also still use the loop integration here. So those are my 4 tips. I'll pause briefly here to see if there's any questions that come about based on the 4 tips, something you might want to see some more of, or if we can go to the resources. Nicolina, can you help me and find out if there's any questions in the chat?
There is no question at the moment.
All right. So this is being recorded, of course, and if you have questions after you've seen this video on YouTube, just leave a comment in YouTube itself and we'll get back to you as soon as possible, of course. As a follow-up, something that PowerPoint Live also has an option to is being a clickable link. So here are a couple of links that we'll add to the YouTube channel as well. There's 3 links to the content that we've seen today. Adaptive cards, if you want to learn more, if you want to experiment with it yourself, here's an ideal starting point for you. Of course, Microsoft Loop is an application that's quite new. There's an extensive website for more deep dive information there. Time for Teams, of course, a product created by Projectum itself. We have a page for that where you can follow along with more information. Today, you've been present at a presentation from me. Of course, Microsoft and Projectum and even Microsoft and Projectum together have upcoming events. So if you would like to be present at one of our upcoming events, just click on this link and you'll be able to see what we have to offer there. And if you want to stay in touch, let us know how to reach you. There's a link here and you can let us know what we can do for you. So that is the webinar.